Welcome, everyone. We're back again on the East Brunswick Public Library Podcast Network. You are listening to Read, Watch, Listen. It is a podcast about what people are getting from the library. And my very special guest today, you've probably seen her around town. She is a super library user. She's also a former member of our library's Board of Trustees, and it's Mary Penn. Mary, thank you for being on the show today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Why do you love East Brunswick so much?
I love East Brunswick because it's so diverse. We moved here because we heard that there was a good school system, and ever since we moved here, we've enjoyed going to the library. I brought my kids there since they were really, really young. We've done the story times. They've grown up and gone through the children's section to the tweens to the teens, and now they're using all different parts of the library in person and also virtual resources. So besides the library, there's so much that East Brunswick has to offer, and it's so diverse here. There's different cultures and different types of foods, and we just love it here. It's really nice. It's a great town.
I can't agree with you anymore. Well said, Mary. So let's get into the podcast. It's Read, Watch, Listen. So we're going to ask you a couple questions about what you've been enjoying. So our first question is, what would you recommend to read?
Wow. So I've actually been reading a lot more at the beginning of this year because we've had so much time at home. I decided that I would read several books a month. So I've read a lot of books, and I'm not going to go through the entire list because it's a long one. But the ones that I really enjoyed that I've been able to get from the library, these two books by Jean Kwok. The first one is called Girl in Translation, and I really enjoyed that one. So I decided to check out her other book, which is called Searching for Sylvie Lee, which is also really good. But I really enjoyed Girl in Translation because I could really relate to it. I love the way that the author had told the story of this young girl living in the US and growing up in an immigrant family. I just love and could relate to that story. And also, I read Minor Feelings by Cathy Park Hong. That was a really good book. Let's see, what else was I reading? Oh, I really like Crying in H Mart. That's a new book that was written by Michelle Zauner, who also happens to be a musician. She's in a group called Japanese Breakfast. So that was really a lot of fun because I heard about her first because of her music, which I had checked out using Hoopla. But then I heard that she had this book that came out, I think, earlier this year. I was able to relate it to her book as well because she told the story about how her mom was diagnosed with cancer and how she was able to become closer to her mom. I related to that because my mom had passed away from cancer about 4 years ago. So that was the first time I really thought about how people grieve in a different way. And it brought up a lot of feelings for me as I read the book. But it was also very helpful to be able to look at it, I guess, in a sort of positive way that she's in a better place now. But those are the books that I really enjoyed this year. There's a common thread between all those books, as that they were all written by Asian American authors. And it was interesting to see all the different ways that they were able to tell the Asian American experience in their storytelling.
Yeah, those are very popular here at the library. They circulate a lot. Make sure you put them on hold. So for the watch part, Mary, what have you been watching?
Really enjoyed Ted Lasso. Actually, my husband got me into watching that. He tried a really, really long time to get me to watch that. I think he watched the entire first season of Ted Lasso. And every time he would sit down and watch it, he would ask me to watch it with him. And I'm like, no, 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 I'm not interested, not into soccer. I found like every excuse there was. So finally, after him being so persistent, I decided I'll just sit down and watch one episode. And then one episode led to another. And it was just really funny. And by the end of that first season, I thought, well, this is kind of a fun show. And because there's so many people who agreed that it was a fun show, they got a second season. And so we're watching that right now. And I just really love how they're developing all the characters. And to me, they're becoming more likable because I came into this, some of the characters weren't very likable, but now I really enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to finishing up season 2. And I also just started watching The Chair with Sandra Oh. I can't tell you much about it because I just watched the first 2 episodes, but it's really engaging, and I can't wait to
Both of those
watch
are very popular. Everyone's talking about it. All our coworkers here at the library, friends. You can't go on my own social media and see someone talking about Ted Lasso or The Chair. So you are on point with what's going on in the entertainment world, Mary. So last but not
Thanks.
least, what are you listening to? Now, Mary is a big follower of us on social media, so I'm thinking it might have to do a lot with Bruno Mars, because any Bruno Mars reference that we post on social, Mary is always one of the first people to like that. So what are you listening to, and why is it Bruno Mars?
Oh my goodness, that is so funny that you bring that up because I am listening to something and I've been checking out all the new music using Hoopla. And it's so much fun because I can just have my iPhone with me all the time, whether I'm going out for a run or a walk or running errands if I have to be in the car for a long time. So I'll just listen to something. And the one Bruno Mars related music item that I listen to is Silk Sonic. He partnered with Anderson Paak to come up with the CD, and it's awesome. It's so much fun to listen to. And because I was listening to that CD, that led me to try out something by Anderson Paak. And he has a few CDs. So I was able to check out one of those, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy his music. I've also been listening to Olivia Rodrigo Sour, and also I had mentioned Japanese Breakfast. I listened to their CD.
That's
So yeah, those are my favorite ones that I've
That's a
been
lot of
listening
good
to so far
listening, and
this
I'm
year.
going to have to co-sign on the Anderson Paak listening. I stumbled across that the last couple years, and oh my God, so much good stuff.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I've listened to it and I really like his voice. I went to see Shang-Chi a couple of weeks ago, and when they're rolling the credits, I was listening to the song. I'm like, who's this? Who is this by? Then when they rolled the credits for the music, they had a song in the soundtrack by Anderson Paak in Shang-Chi.
Oh,
So that was a lot of
that's a
fun to
great
see
fun
that.
trivia note. I think that kind of wraps us up. We talked about a lot of stuff today. Mary, thank you as always for being a library supporter, and thank you for being our special guest on the podcast today. And everything we talked about, we can find links in the description notes. You can follow us on anchor.fm/EBP Library for all the East Brunswick Public Library podcasts. I'm Chris Barnes, and special shout out to our producer, Melissa Hosick, for putting this together. And check out our website, www.ebpl.org, for all the latest East Brunswick Public Library services, programs, all the good stuff. Thanks, and we'll check you out later. Thank you.
Thank you.